Hey everybody, welcome to Pink Shade. It's Thursday and that means it's Shades of Bravo. So today we're going to talk Shady Bravo with my friend Doug Budin. Hey Doug.
Hey, Mary Payne. Good to see
Hey.
you and
It's
hear
good.
you.
It's good to see you and hear you as well. Last time I saw you was at BravoCon where you were being treated like Mick Jagger at a Rolling Stones concert.
That was so much fun. I really had the best time. And I was there with Megan and Jeff,
Yeah.
like the whole crew. It was very, very cool. I
It
loved
was
it.
super fun. I loved hanging out with you, even though I felt like I was walking around with Doug, guys, and people would be like, "Oh, Doug!" And I was like, "Okay, give me the camera. I'll take the picture." And every so often, Doug would be like, "This is my friend, and she has a podcast." I'm like, "They don't care."
I always introduce you.
Yes, like this is Doug's world. We're all living in it. It was really great walking around with you though, because I was like, at some point, I was like, "You just go, be with your people. I'll see you later. I'll see you later."
Well, you know how I love to meet people and I love to talk to people, but I do always introduce a friend. So I'm
Yes.
sure I was like, this is my friend Mary Payne. And I usually then tell people that it's your pimento cheese. See, I do give credit. I always say it's your pimento cheese recipe that I use.
I do feel bad that that's what I'm known for because I don't cook very much or very well, and I can make pimento cheese. And also another thing that I'm known for is my ranch flavored Cheez-Its. So everything is just healthy and horrible.
It was very, very, very cool to see you there at
I
BravoCon.
know we had lunch together, and you were handing out salt packets to people.
Right, that looked like little packets of meth. I was actually my biggest concern was that I made it on the plane with like these 100 little packets
Yeah.
of truffle salt because they really did look like drugs. And
Yes.
when I was here packing, my friends were like, "You what? You can't get that on the plane." And thank God I was flying on what's Jet Suite X, where they like sort of glance at your bag. They don't really go
Yeah.
through it. So I was very happy once I was boarded on that. By the way, I don't know if I told you this. I took the Vanderpump Dogs plane.
You
To
did
Vegas.
tell me. Yes.
It
It's
was
because you
all,
and Lisa Vanderpump are such good friends, and she gave you her plane for free.
I did meet Lisa Vanderpump once. Like right when Pump opened. No, was it? Yeah,
Yeah.
right when Pump opened. I went there for dinner with a couple of friends, and Lisa and Pandora were there, and they sat down with us. They were like asking us about the food and the decor. Like she at least seemed genuinely curious and wanted feedback. And then she was like, "Oh, you should have this," and we were introduced to the chef, whom I recognized from. I think it was like greatest next food chef of America, on Food Network.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
was one of the
Yeah.
contestants. She didn't win, but like they recommended a few dishes, and then I would say for real, Lisa and Pandora sat with us maybe 17 or 18 minutes. We had really really nice chat, and then Lance Bass arrived, and so Lisa said, "Oh, my dinner date is here," and she moved over to the next table. But a lot of our stuff was comped, and she could not have been cooler.
Wow.
Yeah, and we were shocked.
But for the record, she did not loan you her plane. That just happened to be the plane that you were on.
Oh yeah. No. At Jet Suite X, one of the planes is branded Vanderpump Dogs, so
Uh-huh.
that's the Vanderpump Dog plane, but it's not hers. It's just probably an advertisement that she paid, with a Jet Suite X integration or something.
Yeah, I mean, that's cool. So you would take Jet Suite X from LA to Vegas because you find it to be more economical because everyone knows you're a travel expert. So this is,
Well, it's not more economical, but it is a lot easier and faster.
was it like a 45-minute flight? It's pretty short.
I think it's even less. I think it's about half an hour, or 27 minutes, or half an hour. But you don't fly into. It's no longer McCarran. What's it called now? I forget the Las Vegas airport.
Harry
Uh,
Reid?
Harry Reid. Thank you.
Yeah.
It doesn't fly into Harry Reid. It flies into this small terminal
Mm.
off the campus. So everything is just faster getting in and out.
Well,
Vegas airport is a wreck.
yeah, I was there. Yeah, I was there. And I'll be there again this next year when we head back to BravoCon in
Is it
Vegas.
confirmed that it's in Vegas?
You know, listen, I did hear from people that work at Caesars that they did sign there's a 3-year contract for BravoCon.
Oh, okay.
So, and then, Andy has said on the radio things like, I loved it in Vegas.
Yeah,
I think we should do it there every year. What do you think? Oh, I think it's great.
right.
Like
I
he's,
heard him say the same thing. I was like,
yeah,
oh, okay. I guess maybe it will be in Vegas. I also, I have a friend who was able to get me an amazing hookup on a room. So like everything, it
that was
just.
me. That
Oh,
friend
I,
was
I
me.
was keeping it secret. I didn't tell any. I don't want you to get hounded. I don't know that you should reveal that it's you.
Yeah. Well, it wasn't me that did it. There was a bunkie that reached out that had a hookup that helped us out. And the few select close friends I let in on my,
And that
on my
the rooms
windfall.
were amazing. Like the whole experience
Amazing.
could not have been better.
I agree. The rooms were amazing. Now, I got
Yeah.
to say, Vegas as a city, that was the first time I'd been, and not dying to go back. I got to be honest.
And I think it's good for 3 days. We were there a little bit longer.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
you know, it's also you were working. I was work. I had a couple of
yeah,
days of work while we were there. You
yes,
had some work. It's like that hard thing. Everybody else is just like messy and drunk, and you're like, no, no, no. I need to get on this Zoom, or I just need to get to
right.
this meeting or whatever. Um, but I do want to go back and see the Sphere because I did not
Me
get to see
too.
the Sphere. So
Me too.
maybe next year for BravoCon we'll do that.
My friend Ingrid went to. I think you met Ingrid.
Yeah,
Went,
I met her.
yeah, and to the U2 experience. She went with her husband,
Oh
and she
wow.
was like, it really is incredible. And where she was showing, like, she was showing me videos and stuff. And I was like, your seats seem like nosebleed. She goes, those are the expensive ones. The higher up you go, the more expensive it is because you're really getting the spirit experience. If you're
Oh
down,
yeah.
like normally, if you're down on the floor or close, but she's like, for this, you want to be higher up because then you're really getting the whole experience. I mean, she's just like, she said it's changed her whole, view on life. She's like, it's the most incredible thing she's ever been to.
And my friend Sal was just there very recently, but he went to the movie, not the U2. He went to see
Okay.
the Darren Aronofsky film. And he said it's crazy because there's like a very strong breeze at one point. It sounded
Yeah.
almost like going to Soarin' over California or whatever at Disney. Like
Yeah.
you're
Which I hate
traveling
because
around
that
the
makes me
world.
nauseous. It makes me
Well,
like
this may
vertigo,
make you nauseous, but he said at one point there's like this wind and there are no fans anywhere. He said you can't, there's no machinery or apparatus around you, and they're trying to figure out where this wind is coming from. It's really an engineering marvel.
Yeah, I want to see. I know they've announced they're kind of announcing acts as they're coming along, and there's been rumblings of like Harry Styles, or there's rumblings of like a Billie Eilish, and these I understand those people are youngsters, but I do like both of them quite a bit. I talk about it, Billie Eilish a lot, and I would pay any amount of money to see them in a place like that. Now, why are you making that face?
Well, I know, well, I couldn't name a single song from either of them. I know
Yeah.
who Harry Styles is
Hmm.
uh, because they talked about him or
You would
them.
like you would like that music, Doug. Harry Styles is very sort of classic.
He's a zippy dresser, right? That's his
He
thing.
is also a zippy dresser, but
He
he's
was part
very
of One
talented.
Direction.
He was, yeah.
Billie Eilish, I honestly keep forgetting if it's a man or a woman because I think of Billy Idol and Billy Elliot and Billie
Right.
Holiday, and I can't now remember which one this Billie Eilish is.
She's a
Woman.
girl, and she's about 20. She probably, I think she just turned 22. She's hosted Saturday Night Live. She's been on as the guest twice, musical guest. She sang the song for the Barbie movie. That's probably going to win her a second
Oh, wait, this
Oscar.
very popular song. Oh, no, no,
Yes,
no, I'm confusing. How does the song go?
it's called "What Was I Made For." I'm not going to sing it for you
Oh.
because she has a gorgeous voice, but she won an Oscar for the theme song for "No Time to Die" or the James Bond movie, and they think she'll win the Oscar for this one too.
Good for her.
She's halfway to an EGOT because she's won like 40 Grammys.
Yeah, I mean, listen, everybody knows who Billie Eilish is except me, but it's okay. Like, I don't need to know everything.
All right. Well, maybe I'll send you some sample songs and you can get acquainted.
Thanks.
So I'm sure you've heard of microdosing. And if not, just know that all sorts of people are microdosing to feel healthier and perform better. Microdose gummies deliver perfect entry level doses of THC that help you feel just the right amount of good. I personally have been using them to sleep. I take half of one every night, like 30 minutes before bed. By the time I get in the bed, my brain has calmed down enough that I can just read my book and go to sleep. I don't let that wheel just turn, 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 and then I can't sleep. So the microdose half gummy has helped me tremendously, and I highly recommend it. You can get 30% off your first order plus free shipping. You're going to go to microdose.com. Use the promo code PINKSHADE. It's available nationwide. Microdose.com, promo code PINKSHADE for 30% off and free shipping. Microdose.com, promo code PINKSHADE. Well, we're here to talk about the Salt Lake City reunion. Now, we've had the 3 parts. The third part was promised to be the end all be all. Part 2 kind of left me a little underwhelmed. Part 1 was good. So part 3, and then of course I did see Heather Gay was on Watch What Happens Live last night,
Mhm.
and Andy did also say, Andy said, Variety is reporting that Monica's not coming back next season. As
Mhm.
if that was the first he'd heard
Yeah,
of it.
yeah.
He's the producer for the show. He's like, Variety is, and he's like, what do you think about that, Heather? And she's like, it's the right decision. You can't be on a cast with not one person. You could certainly be on a cast where people don't want to film with you because that happens all the time. But with nobody trusts you because you've been trolling them for 3 years,
Well,
then
that's the thing. She proved herself untrustworthy. Like you wouldn't believe a
yeah,
word that comes out of her mouth.
exactly. I mean, the fans don't, her cast doesn't, the production doesn't. I think she's lied
Well,
about the
we're going to
producers and
talk about
stuff.
this, but I hope at least that whole thing where she said she told casting. Are we going
Mhm.
to talk about that? That
Yeah.
she
Oh,
told
yeah.
them
Oh,
she had this fake account. Okay, good.
yeah. Well, first we start off with talking about the butter churning. Okay. So Meredith, with the shaking of the butter and the joke about that. But Meredith said she was so proud of her butter that she was taking it to restaurants. Will you serve my butter? Now,
Now I thought this
would
was
you do that?
fantastic.
Would you do
Oh,
that?
I absolutely would. In
Okay.
fact, thank you for reminding me. I have a churn your own butter churner in my kitchen. It was a
Okay.
gift from my sister. Thanks, Laura, from either Williams Sonoma or Crate and Barrel. And all you do is you put in cream, heavy cream. You let it
Uh-huh.
sit at room temperature for 12 hours. This is like a cheat butter churner. You let
Okay.
it sit for, I think it's up to 12 hours. It could be 8 hours. And then you have to shake it vigorously for a
Uh-huh.
solid 3 minutes. And then that's it. You unscrew the cap and it falls into its own kind of ramekin and you have to rinse it off. You always have to rinse off fresh butter because you're
Okay.
separating, the butter fat. And so you rinse it off and the butter is what remains. And it really is delicious. It's a sweet cream butter. And then you could add salt to it. So I absolutely think it was fine for her to bring the butter. I thought it was adorable. And butter can be kept at room temperature. You don't have to keep your butter refrigerated.
Oh, I know.
A lot of people, Mary Payne in the South,
Yeah.
have, is it called a butter ball? It looks almost like a lady's skirt, and you keep it upside down in
Yes.
water,
Yes.
and that's what keeps the butter
My
fresh.
mother always left the butter on the counter. And now, as an adult, I think it's gross, but like if she was going to cook something the next day, she would take the butter and everything out the night before. She was like, yeah, I mean, why not? You're going to go ahead. I'm like, oh, it's going to go bad. She goes, it doesn't go bad.
No, it doesn't.
Nobody's died yet. Everybody's
Yeah.
fine.
And it doesn't melt. It stays soft. But there is this app. Maybe it's a butter bell. It would make more sense.
I know what
And
you're talking about.
it sits in water just to keep it fresh and not have contact with anything in the air. But that I thought it was great, But thank you for reminding me because I wanted to take out my butter churner and make some butter.
I think that you should, and I think you should do it in homage and you should do a reel with yourself shaking your butter, and then with Meredith and say same, same. Um,
There you go.
but my question about that is because you're a salt expert. You guys, Doug has a wonderful saltery.com/Doug. Is that right?
No, but
Okay.
it's saltery.store,
Uh-huh.
SALTERY dot
Saltery.
store.
Okay.
But
Saltery
yes,
store.
continue.
Doug is an expert on salt. So I do have salt questions for you sometimes. So on butter, when you get it at a restaurant and they put those chunks of salt on the top oh,
Yeah.
it's so good. What kind of salt is that?
That would be a sea salt,
Okay,
right?
sea salt.
Flake, FLAKE, a flake sea salt, or If it's the little crystals, the flake salt looks like flakes, they're almost
Yeah.
like a shingle of salt. But if
Uh-huh.
they're little teeny crunchy things, and sometimes you also see them on the tops of chocolate, that would be
Yes.
fleur de sel, the salt, flower of salt, fleur de sel, which is very delicate. And you only want to buy that in a small amount because it dries out
Mm.
rather quickly and easily. But fleur de sel is so amazing, and that again, that's like again, like if you're buying a highbrow chocolate, you'll just see a couple of crystals of that, and
Yes. Yes.
it gives a nice crunch in the mouth, but it also dissolves at a really low temperature, so it just melts right in your mouth.
Well, my husband made chocolate chip cookies recently. He's like, "Oh, you remember we had those ones that had the salt on top? Like, which kind of salt is that?" I was like, "Don't risk it because if you get the like, I accidentally rimmed that 21 Seeds margarita with the wrong salt, and I was like, you don't want to get the wrong salt."
No, definitely. Like, don't. I would say like don't use table salt for any of that. Table salt is mined, out of the
Yes. Yes.
ground,
Yes.
but sea salt, which has these beautiful flakes, is from evaporation of seawater, and so that's where you've got this beautiful natural flakes. And unless you're really short on iodine, I would avoid table salt when
No,
possible.
I use kosher salt or sea salt
Mhm.
for
Same.
everything.
I use kosher, of course,
Yeah.
kosher for cooking, of course. Yeah.
So that's our butter talk. But I did want to, that made me think, I was like, I wonder if Doug would take his own butter to a restaurant.
I
It made
really
me
listen.
think about
I'm
you.
gonna, I'm gonna tell you something really embarrassing. I once brought. This is a true story, Mary Payne.
Okay.
I all right. Just the quick backstory is every
Okay.
year there was at Sundance. This was when a client of mine was a big sponsor at Sundance, and every year this one festival held a brunch, and it was such a good brunch, and it was at, I forget the name of the restaurant, but it was like eggs and bacon and bagels, just like a regular brunch. And I was privy to the fact that one year they're like, we're cutting the bacon. It was, the cost of bacon had gotten so
Oh,
astronomical, and they were
yeah.
like, we're not going to have bacon at the brunch. And so I brought my own bacon to the brunch in a Ziploc bag, and I was sitting with some friends of mine, and they're all making fun of me. But you know what happened? The second I opened that Ziploc, people were like, "Who's got bacon? Somebody has bacon!" And they were coming by our table, and I had to share all that bacon. But I absolutely did bring my own bacon to that brunch.
That's BYOB. Yeah. That's Doug. Listen, I'm kind of obsessed with bacon too, so I might have done the same thing. I was like, if
Okay,
there's
good.
gonna be no bacon here, then because when we were in France and in England, the bacon was so like wimpy and
Oh, it's so
floppy.
different. Yeah, of
Yeah,
course.
we're
Yeah,
like, we don't like this floppy bacon.
right.
Yuck.
Yeah.
Um, let's talk about okay, so then we moved on to talking about Lisa was like, I have glam, I have glam. I have a makeup person every single day, every day until I die. I'm gonna die in glam and dressed in diamonds. I have glam. It's like, are you telling me 7 days a week she has somebody come to her house and do her makeup? Like, that cannot be true. I don't even think
Well,
like the fanciest people in the world do that.
I didn't really. I want to be clear. Was she implying for real that it's about her eyesight, or was that just a joke? Do you think?
Well, Angie said, well, she can't see. She can't see to do her makeup.
And
She
then
can't see to
Lisa
do her makeup.
agreed,
And I
and
was like,
Lisa's like, "Yeah, I
is
can't
Lisa
see."
legally blind and we've missed a
Well,
memo
I
here?
don't. That's where I'm at. Like that was such an odd. I didn't know if that was really just a joke and whatever, or like is because then I was thinking, listen, we all have friends who obviously people are everyone's self-conscious about their looks. I mean, even if you
Yes,
say
right.
you're not, you are. Then I was thinking, maybe she's got a skin condition, maybe she's got terrible psoriasis, maybe she's got something that
Yeah.
she feels the need for a professional makeup artist. That's where my mind went, because it is excessive, and it's not about like it's not about being rich or not being rich, and it can't just be about vanity. Like watching YouTube. Listen, I learned how to do a smoky eye watching YouTube one year for
Yeah.
Halloween.
Yeah.
I can do a really good smoky eye. So my thoughts really were like, oh, there must be something deeper. Like she's either got some kind of skin issue or some complex. There's just something, I think.
Yeah, that's but to say you have it every day, 365 is really excessive, especially, there are many days, of course, when you don't, especially if you live in Utah, I'm sure you're many days you don't leave the house because of the weather. That would be strange. So I don't know if she was like over exaggerating it, but I think the thing about I wish they would have clarified about she can't see because for me, I am nearsighted. I can see, like, I don't have glasses or anything on right now. I can see everything perfectly, but I can't see across the room, right?
Yeah.
So it is hard for me sometimes doing makeup. If I don't have my contacts in, I have to get like close to the mirror. But if I do have my contacts in, then I can't get close to the mirror. So I can see if she's like super nearsighted or super farsighted, she might have that problem.
Right.
But that's the only thing I could think of because all of a sudden, if she's legally blind, we've definitely never heard that.
Agreed. I don't think she's legally blind. I mean,
Yeah. So
I'm
I
not
needed
assuming.
somebody to like, I need one more question on that subject. I need just a follow up, just a follow up
Is
question.
there somebody we can like? Can you write in because they're an ombudsman? I guess just keep
Well,
it in
you
your.
might be you might be on Radio Andy with her on Jeff's show because she comes on sometimes. If you ever see her, will you ask?
I will. I would if I see her. I will ask.
Or maybe get Shane to text her.
I've never met her.
Yeah, I find her fascinating and hilarious.
I really did
Um,
love this season.
I loved it too. We see Monica. She does her Lisa Barlow impression. She's like, "It's not hard, just do like this,"
Oh
and
my God, listening
she's
to
right.
each of them impersonate each other was hysterical to me.
Because
And
then
then poor
Angie,
Andy. I mean, he looked like battered by the
he
end of
did.
the evening, right?
Somebody
Just
called into his show and was like, "How come you weren't like everybody be quiet, like you're talking over each other?" And he said, "A lot of that ends up on the cutting room floor. You see it about half the time I actually do it." He said, "But there are some people, meaning Monica's, um, way of arguing is just yell, yell, yell over you, the same thing over and over. So you can't." And at one point, Lisa Barlow even goes, "You don't know how to argue. Like
well,
she never let
she
so
argues like
hard."
a kid almost. No,
Yeah,
you. No, I know you are, but what am I? Like it's just
yeah,
that mentality.
yes,
I was a little disappointed in that, if I'm honest. It was very loud,
hmm,
and I do I do wish Andy would just say, shut the fuck up and actually have them shut up. I never know like what would make good TV versus what would not make good TV. Like, is it good to see him yelling at them? Is it
right,
better if they do just shut up? But as a viewer, um,
yeah,
it really was difficult just to hear all that crosstalk and all the yelling
yeah. I mean,
constantly, even when they started to shut up. And then Meredith was like, and she's continuing. I was like, it was hard.
it's hard.
I watch with closed caption, and I
Same.
actually had to lower the volume uh, by a lot just because it was hard for me to just listen to it.
I put on the closed captioning because I was like, I'm not catching things,
Yeah,
like I'd like to hear because you hear these two people are talking and these two people are talking, and that probably you want to hear what's going on over here. I mean, it's hard.
yeah.
Then we see the clip of Mary talking about Heather's size 14 Gucci, and she says they don't make a size 14 corset. It's like, well, first of all, it's called a corset, and she says absolutely.
Touchette, touchette,
I was
touchette,
like,
Mary Kane.
what are you saying? And then she goes, and I was not body shaming. I've talked to her about that. Never occurred to me. And I was like, it never occurred to you to say that Gucci doesn't make a size 14. Yes, it did. That,
Yeah,
come on
that's
now.
ingenuous for her to say that. Of course.
Of course. But, Heather was like, yeah, it's fine. We've talked. And, then they say, again, you did call her inbred. She's like, well, she does look inbred. I mean, what do you want me to do about it?
Oh,
So, so awful.
wait, but I do have a question about the Gucci thing.
Yes.
So, like, if you were gonna go on TV, like,
Hmm.
would you like purposely wear a fake
No,
Gucci
never.
thing?
Mm-mm.
Right?
No.
So, like, I'm the same way. Like, I wouldn't wear a fake knowing I'm going on national television. That's why I
Right.
wouldn't have a firkin instead of a bird. Like, you just would have a
Right.
different brand or something. So that seemed weird to me. Like, Heather wouldn't. I just assumed that she wouldn't wear a fake brand unless that was the bit. She made a bit out of it. But
No.
I thought she
Mm-mm.
looked beautiful,
I thought she
Heather.
looked great.
Yeah.
Yes, I thought
Well,
too.
from
I think
those season one reunion outfits, I never mind closed caption. I just want to turn the video off because I didn't like what anybody was wearing, and so I thought it got a little bit better now.
This everybody had it except for Whitney. I don't know what was happening with Whitney's outfit, her hair, her everything was not, and that's unusual because she always seems pretty on point, but I didn't like her whole look. And also, normally they tell them, "Hey, we're going to do this theme of colors," and obviously they
Oh,
didn't tell them
color
any theme.
story.
Yeah, no color story for this
No.
at all. But Monica, as batshit as she is, she did look gorge. She's a
She
gorgeous woman.
did. I'm trying. Yes, she was very well put together for sure.
Very well put together.
Oh,
So,
and didn't Mary say? Sorry, didn't Mary say? Who did she say though? She was like, "Well, you look good tonight, so you've been taking notes." Who did she say that
Heather.
to?
She said
She
that to
said that to
Heather.
Heather after
Mhm.
she accused her of wearing fake Gucci.
Yeah, she said, "Well, I thought she looked I think she looks good tonight, so she looks better than me or
Yeah,
something,
you're
Yeah,
welcome for
yeah,
taking my notes.
yeah. Um, Andy asked Mary, "Do you want to continue with the group?" Which means, "Do you want to continue to be on this show?" And she goes, "Maybe. If everyone's genuine with me. I mean, Whitney can't act like she's afraid of me, and that's my main problem." And Whitney's like, I'm not afraid of you, but I'm more afraid of like your mouth and your reactions." She's like, "Well, Andy just said, I say what I want. And it's fine." So she can stay on as comedic relief. I think that's fine, but she obviously is never going to participate in a trust fall or a roller skating or an escape room or an axe throwing. I mean, she's never going to participate in any of the activities or a roaring 20s party. She's never going to participate in any activity. So she's good to be just a friend.
Yeah, I mean, she definitely provides a lot of comic relief.
Yeah.
That said, it it's also I don't know. It just seems unreal that she's part of any of their lives. Like I believe it less now than I did, from the first season. I just feel like that she's also there, but she's not working as hard as the rest of them to
No.
stay in touch with each other, or she's just going to sit on the bus and eat her fillet of fish or whatever the
Yeah. Fillet of fish. Yeah. Ugh.
so I mean, why not? Because it's funny to laugh at her, but it just again like you lose a little bit of the reality because you just don't believe that she's actually part of their life and daily structure.
I agree. And, it's a total mystery to everyone in the world how she and Meredith are friendly. It's just like, she's like, I love Meredith. And I'm like, Meredith's like, "I love you too, girl." I'm like, what? What?
Yeah, well, listen, I have people in my life that people like, I don't understand how are you in the same world? Like we all have friends like that. So I
That's
guess it's
true.
possible.
Maybe they understand each other.
Yeah.
So we
They
get into
see
the
each other.
whole they see each other. Well, like Meredith said, she maybe needs to get the other women, teaches them how to understand Mary, maybe.
Yeah.
So we
And
get into the reality Von Tease of it all. And Monica says she herself did not set it up and did not name it, but she was a part of it after it got
it
created.
was Tanisha.
It was one of these six people. At one point they bleeped out Tanisha's name, but
Oh, they
I'm
did.
on to that. I pause it right before and find out who they're
I
saying.
mean, that's who she was saying, right? It was
Yeah,
Tanisha.
Tanisha. Yeah.
It was because didn't Tanisha say it was her account, and then she gave them the account, and they renamed it because Reality Von T's V1 was shut down. So
Hmm.
Tanisha gave, and Tanisha, why do I know this? Where did we learn all this? Tanisha had that account so she could spy on her baby's father.
Tanisha did an interview with Casey and Danielle on Bitch Sesh, but she also did an interview with somebody else. I heard her on Bitch Sesh, but whatever the information is you have, she didn't say that on Bitch Sesh. She went on a couple of podcasts after that, so you could have
I,
heard it there.
Somebody
I
must
know
have
you
said,
don't listen. You
I
don't
don't know
listen.
why I know this, but for some reason I know this and I can't see her in my head, so I must have just heard it. But that's what she said. So she gave them the account and she logged out and they were able to log in and they ran with it from there. But was Tanisha up front with Heather? So did
Mm-mm,
Heather not know this?
mm-mm. Heather found out. My understanding is that Heather found out right before the Bermuda trip. Um, and then it was all kind of confirmed. She had a bunch of screenshots and stuff. So I don't know if she reenacted finding out when she was in Bermuda or if she found out something more in Bermuda with all the scrambling, footage of her on her balcony going, "I can't believe it's her." Um, I think she has said she found out a lot of it like the week before they went, but she
Yeah.
confirmed it all like while they were there.
Right. She got that phone call.
Right.
But
But I
you're
don't know
saying
how.
that whole time Tanisha never told Heather? I guess Heather never said they were. Well, did Heather say they were friends, or it was her hairdresser? Like,
She said it was her hairdresser, and she's still her hairdresser. And she said that but
no, I thought
Tanisha,
on the reunion she said not anymore.
oh, maybe she did.
I
Maybe I
think
glossed over
I
that.
think last night they mentioned it, and I think Heather said she wasn't her hairdresser anymore. And I will say, Heather's hair game has not suffered because I thought her hair looked really good.
She does have gorgeous hair. I think that my understanding is that Tanisha, once she started doing Heather's hair, sort of started like backing away from the Monica of it all because she's like, okay, look, actually, this is going to hurt my career if I continue with this Monica chick, whether she's going to get on the show or not or whatever. I need to sort of back away from it and let them sort of handle it because she was involved at the beginning and then she started to have like she said, a crisis of, conscious.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
because she kept, and there's the screenshots and everything and the calls of Monica trying to get Heather Gay's address from Tanisha. And Tanisha's like, I'm not going to give it to you.
Yeah.
And so they even said that in the reunion, like, she doesn't know my address. She tried to get it to do what? Again, we'll get to that. So
Those drive-bys.
it's just weird. So the point of the reality Monteith, she says, was to expose Jen and how she treated her employees specifically. Never was the point to hurt all these other ladies. And Heather says, every person on these couches can give you 10 examples of hurtful things you said. Then we see the example of when DMX died, and Heather posted about DMX dying very young. DMX is a rapper. And then that's what they posted. Grandma pretending she could get that black D and posted it like she tagged her 15 times in one post. Like the post would go down, they'd put it right back up. So it'd
Hmm.
stay up and she kept posting her. And she's like, no, you didn't just do it one time. You tagged me 15 times. It's just constantly popping up. And they're like, why are you doing that? And she goes, over and over for 3 years, this account's tagging me, tagging me, tagging me. And they kind of go back and forth about arguing. Oh, was it? And she goes, no, it's been since 2019 or 20, whatever. And Andy goes, okay, so it's 2.5 years, not 3, whatever. Then they go back and forth. And then Monica, which she thought was going to be her moment, pulls out that burn book,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
And everybody goes, okay. And they all say, Andy, they all look at Andy like, come on now. This is ridiculous. We're not doing, this is
That
so
was
stupid.
so dumb.
It was
It
so dumb.
was like, oh my God, is this like a Mean Girls integration? That was like the first thing that I
That's what I
thought.
thought too, because that
I
movie
was
is
like,
out there right
he's
now.
going to turn to the camera and say, this is featured on Mean Girls coming
Yes.
soon on like, it was very weird. It was like when
Yes.
what's her name wrote that letter, Adriana from Miami. It was just like,
Yes.
it was a bit that failed.
A bit that failed. And so Andy's like, okay. So he looks at it and he goes, okay, so here I am. Haha. Okay. All right. But then as he's going, he sees every single Instagram post from that account is in there.
Right.
And as they're looking at, like, of course, Lisa Barlow sees a picture of herself from high school and it's like something, and there's a picture of Monica and she calls herself a whore or whatever. And Lisa's like, that's a terrible picture of me. Like, I don't get this. And she's like, you guys are like, this is funny and you just don't get it. It's not even serious. And they're like, this is like our lives. And you've tormented us for 3 years. Like, this is not funny to us. So Andy says, why can't you see that trying to expose Jen Shaw, you hurt everybody? Like, you're just perpetuating something mean by reposting things that Jen Shaw said or did. Like, by reposting it or saying her words, you're just perpetuating it. It's continually coming up. You're tagging them and all that. And she's like, I don't know. And Andy goes, I got to tell you, I'm amazed that you're so surprised at how pissed off they are.
Hmm.
And she's like, well, and Andy goes, how about this? Did you ever post anything positive about these women? And they show this picture of some of them at a gala, like, yes, love to see it, Salt Lake City. And Heather goes, it's 1 out of 10,000. You're not a hero. And then Lisa made a great point. Lisa goes, if you hate us so much, why do you want to be friends with us? Why do you want to be on the show? Like, why do you want to be sitting here if you hate us so much? And Monica goes, both can be true.
Right.
And Lisa goes, if your actions are so noble trying to take down Jen Shaw, you're so noble. Why didn't you just tell us in the beginning? Why didn't you say right in the beginning, I was part of this account? Why not just lead with it? And she just doesn't have, any answer. She just said she and her friends, her 5 friends, they vowed to take it to the grave. So then we see this clip of Monica saying to Lisa Barlow at Greek Easter, saying, "Oh, yeah, because you're always bragging like you're on the private jet with Snoop Dogg." And Lisa Barlow, you could tell she looked at her like she had said that,
Yeah,
but hadn't said
but
it.
she said, I didn't tell you that.
She hadn't said it to her, and she had never said it on camera. So it took her a beat, but she looked at her and goes, "I never said that to you." And Monica goes, "Yeah, you said it." And she goes, "I never said that." And she goes, "You did."
You
And
don't remember. You don't remember
you don't
everything.
remember. And Lisa Barlow goes, "You're a liar. I've never said that to you." And I think that that's when Lisa started to think like, but I did probably say that to Jen. How did Monica hear it? So
Mhm.
that's when they find out that Monica, as an assistant, installed security cameras inside of Jen's house. She goes, but she told me to name the account my name. So why would Jen Shaw have her install security cameras in her house and then use Monica's name on the account?
I
Why?
mean, it was insane that she had been watching. I mean, on one hand, though, Mary Payne, I don't want to lose sight of the fact that Jen Shaw, what she was doing was terrible. And she
Yes.
was serving time for it. And so,
Yes.
whether or not, well, I guess evidence could only have been entered that if it was legally, collected.
Right.
But the fact that they did have that footage of her acting nefariously and illegally is good because it helped justice be carried, But Monica saying like, "Oh no," she kept saying it was my security footage, and it's only because she had it installed in her name. It was still
Right.
security cameras at Jen Shaw's house.
Inside her home. I mean, her
Crazy.
children are there. I mean, that's
It
gross.
well, listen, and then her whole you'll mention the FBI, I'm
Yeah.
sure.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Yeah. We're
but
getting there. Yeah.
she's delusional, and it is a bit of a bummer. Kind of, it's sad because she just will throw everything out, and then you call her on it, and she just pivots. Like nothing sticks with her. She's like, I've never sued anybody. And then Heather said, "Well, you're suing me." She goes, "Well, I'm suing you," or
Yeah.
"I never said that." And then Andy will play the footage. She's like, "Okay, well, I did say that, but this is why." It's like,
Yeah.
I can't, it's not even about trusting. You don't want to listen to anything she says because none of it is real.
Yeah. So then Andy asked Monica, about the stalking. And she's like, "I'm not stalking. I'm not stalking." What was the definition of stalking? And she's talking over, not letting anyone talk. And she is literally saying, "I'm driving by somebody's house. I'm sitting outside their house, but that's not stalking." Well, that is what stalking is. But then they're showing her in all these video clips, these audio clips, her personality is so grating and annoying. I would not be able to be around her because she's like, "Yes, girl, queen, look at me, my binoculars. Yes, we're stalking today." And
Yeah.
you're like, "Oh God, that's just take it down 6 notches, right?"
It's just very
But
performative. Yeah.
very performative. And I mean, she's literally showing herself sitting in a car with binoculars.
Well, and we know she has wigs. We've seen her on video footage wearing a wig. Like
Yeah.
that's her thing. That's her porn.
And so they show all this
Yes.
footage of the stalking. And then she says, this is exactly what she said. It was closed captioned and I watched it twice. She said, "This is when we were in the witness." Now, she tried to say she's in the witness protection program because people that are in it don't say it. And she
Right.
says, and she goes, "And she owed us money." And then she says, "The feds were
Right.
looking for evidence of her doing anything wrong, like drinking and driving."
Drinking and driving. Right.
And all the ladies are laughing. They are laughing at her.
Well, it
And
was so funny, and it was like that's the bit that worked is they were all laughing, and the more they laughed, she's like, "Why are you laughing?" Like she just didn't get it that what she
no.
was saying was so preposterous. She was implying that the FBI recruited her
Hmm.
to spy on Jenshaw to get evidence that she was drinking and driving,
Because
even
that's
though
what's going to take her down.
and even though, well, you listen, people get taken down for all kinds of things, but she's in her home, so she's not going to be driving inside her home. And then, in fact, one of the housewives said, like, "What are you going to do? Make a citizen's arrest?" Like
Right.
that whole thing. See, that's what I'm saying. Though Monica just threw that out as a justification, but when you just take a breath and listen to it, it's just preposterous.
It is preposterous. And she says, and they were like, "So you're just going to like citizens arrest. You're going to put a blue light on your car. What are you going to do? And how would you know if she was drinking and driving? And then they're laughing. And then she goes, why are you laughing? You guys are assholes. And they're like, it's ridiculous. And she goes, you guys are jerks. That's why there's a burn book. I mean, okay. So she just like, and she just had said the burn book was a joke, but now she's saying that's why there's a burn book because you're assholes. So Whitney goes, okay, so you were a mole for the FBI? And she goes, no, I wasn't an informant. I was a witness. And
Right.
Andy goes, okay, hold on. Everybody like, stop. Okay, hold on. Andy goes, okay. So with all the information that the feds had collected on Jen Shaw over 10 years, they asked you to go by her house to catch her drinking and driving? And Andy goes, I mean, with all due, she was defrauding elderly people.
Right.
And she goes, I didn't say they asked me. Why is it so unbelievable? Why is it so unbelievable? And they're like, because it's the federal government? Like, what?
I mean,
No sense.
they had been, investigating her for multiple years. That's the thing. If she could just be honest, if she could just say, "Well, I was infatuated," or whatever her actual reasoning is,
Yeah.
just like making up something so ridiculous is not going to win your case.
No, I mean, it's just like you're waiting for the FBI to make a comment tomorrow to be like, we never hired this girl, just like
Exactly.
the anesthesiologist had to come out and be like, Anne Marie's
Well,
not an
I was
anesthesiologist.
just going to say it's not. You mean the anesthetist, not the
Yeah.
anesthesiologist.
Yeah. Um, so he says, okay, so tell us why you were doing this. Why were you driving? Why were you looking for people's homes? All this. And she gets all mad. And she goes, I mean, why are all of you defending a criminal? And he goes, also they're like, we're not, but it is creepy. And Andy says to Heather, okay, so if we take that tone, why do you care? Why do you care if she's driving by Jen Shaw's house? Like, Jen's a criminal. She's in prison. Why do you guys care if she's like following Jen around? And Heather says, first of all, she can't follow us because she doesn't have our addresses. But this is very interesting. Heather said, the capability of a human to be a fan, befriend the person, beg to work for them for free, then infiltrate their life, install cameras in their home, it raises alarm bells. And she thinks she's being iconic, but she's being a bully. And she's admitted to being a bully for 3 years. I mean, that was a great point to be like, the links this person will go to, why won't she go to that length to do that to me? You know?
Right. Right. Under the guise of just acting noble, like she's out to
Right.
help catch this criminal. But
Right.
again, like I don't know. I do feel like all of the rest of the wives still are castigating Monica for her desire, as she claims, to expose Jen Shaw, or the fact that she was a witness against her, or whatever. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't listen. Obviously, I don't know any of these people, but like, I have no problem with Jen Shaw getting busted and arrested and whatnot. I think what she did was horrible and illegal, and so she's serving her time. So like, we have whistleblowers for a reason. Like, so I don't know if Monica was the whistleblower, or it sounds like the FBI was doing their investigation
Before she
regardless
was
of
even
Monica's
before she was even
involvement.
on
So
TV. Yeah. Way
yeah, so
before.
I guess I just answered my own question. She really maybe wasn't crucial in
No.
Jen Shaw getting arrested, but she
She
definitely
she
helped.
she just wanted to prove that she was a bad person, but I mean, eventually it came out and what she ended up looking like was a nut. So Heather says, I don't think it's appropriate to laugh about this. Honestly, it's ruined my experience as a housewife because every housewife that's been on these shows will tell you the worst part about it is the social media and the online bullying. And she says you could probably get higher caliber women to be on these shows if that social media bullying wasn't a part of it. Well, Monica takes that and was like, oh, so you're saying I'm not a high caliber woman. Heather's like, I didn't say one word about you, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So Lisa says to Andy, you knowingly hired her, knowing she was trying to take us all down. Andy goes, no, I didn't know this. I don't know. I didn't. And Monica goes, well, production knew. And Andy goes, you told production this. And she goes, yeah, like in my first interview, I told them that I ran this account. And Andy goes, you told them in casting that you ran a troll account that was trolling the other woman. She goes, yeah. He goes, you told us you ran a burner account. If you would have told us that you ran this burner account, we would not have hired you. And she goes, okay. And I'm thinking to myself, well, now you're fired. That's what I was
Well,
thinking.
Question. I know it was. I think it was in the very first part of the reunion.
Yeah.
Didn't she say that she told casting like your show is a flop, or and
Yep.
it's gonna go away unless you have some feisty whatever like me. And
Yeah.
then they showed the actual email, and it didn't say that, right?
Right. Right.
So why would we believe her? Here 3 hours later saying this, I told casting. Like, she's proven herself to be a liar and
Yes.
desperate, backed in a corner, making up things. So why would I don't, do you believe that she told them?
Absolutely not. I really, and maybe I'm just naive and I'm just like too much of a fan myself. But I just don't believe she told producers and casting, and then it got all the way to Andy, who does make some decisions on these things, and they brought this. Oh, here's the people that we're thinking of casting. Here's the 4 women that we're looking at. Oh, by the way, this one runs a
Yeah, the
burner
only
account.
thing about this one is,
Yeah,
see, I mean, the truth is, I don't think it ever would have made it all the way up to that high rung on the ladder of Andy and like. I feel like that's a pretty big caveat. That's a pretty that line about her would be highlighted with 10 arrows.
yeah.
I can't imagine that they would knowingly do that.
I can't either. But
Yeah,
again, somebody behind the scenes may be like, "Oh, you're crazy." Of course, they wanted her to bring the drama, but I mean, there's 12 other ways to bring the drama.
yeah.
So now we
They
get
would,
the
just,
stuff
they
of
would lose credibility, though, for future. I mean, it just,
yes.
you have to be able to trust them.
I'll be interested to listen to Andy's radio show tomorrow to see what he says about it. They're not always live on Thursdays, but I'll be interested to see
Oh,
because I'll be interested to see what he says. Now we get the rumor about the Greek mafia stuff, and did Meredith say it? Did Monica say it? And Angie and Monica have this fight, and I loved how Angie's like, "I'd rather be over here on the end of this couch than where you are and be a fucking rat."
oh,
Angie really
oh.
held her
Did
own.
she say a low brow? And Monica was like, "You calling me a brown rat?" And she was like, "Brow, low brow." I mean, that
Well,
whole
Monica didn't
conversation.
understand what lowbrow was.
I,
She was
I
like, lowbrow.
know.
And Andy kept going, low brow, low brow. And she
Brow.
was like, she was saying I'm a brown rat. Like, are you
And
trying
then
to like
she
be
said it was
racist?
like a racist. Oh my God, that was funny to me, though.
Oh, Angie's like, oh my God, you're so stupid. Now we go into the whole black eye thing. Now, Heather says she honestly doesn't know exactly how she got it. She just knows it came from Jen because obviously she was with Jen and then she had a black eye. Now, my theory that I will propose that I've said publicly on this podcast, this is a theory. This is allegedly. I know nothing. I don't know. I'm just saying that for my back injections and stuff, they give you ketamine and
Hmm.
you don't remember a thing. You're in the car and you're on the way home. You're like, what happened? Like you don't. It's a total memory eraser. So in the reunion last year and on the first episode this season, people mentioned ketamine. They mentioned it as a recreational thing. On the reunion, they mentioned people doing ketamine at that event, wherever they were in Arizona, wherever the hell they were, um, San Diego, where they were.
Yeah, I
And
think so.
they mentioned ketamine on that. They
Even
mentioned at
she's
the
like,
reunion. Yeah, I think that if you do ketamine, I'm telling you, when I do it in the doctor's office, when they give it to you so you don't remember getting the back injection, you remember nothing. And you don't feel any pain. There goes my thumb up again. Sorry, Doug. And you don't feel any pain. You don't feel the pain of what's happening. So she very easily could have been punched in the eye, not felt it, not remembered it. And the next day been like, I don't know how I got it, but you were the only one here. So obviously you're the one that did it. Like you wouldn't remember, did we have a fight? Were we wrestling? Did you push me into something? Did you punch me out of anger? Like you wouldn't remember. You literally would not remember. And you still wouldn't remember 2 years later. So that is my theory
mm.
of what happened because I would have never thought that if they hadn't said the word ketamine at the reunion and on the first episode this season.
Well, I buy that more than spider eggs, but
Right.
I also feel like there's still, I don't believe we've heard everything that Heather knows yet.
Yeah,
She
that's right.
said, she said, I'm still scared or I'm still uncomfortable or I'm still whatever it is. I I remember I was in college and I woke up in somebody else's bathtub, right? And I
Okay.
did not remember how I got there. But you know what? About 2 days later, I was eating a piece of Domino's pizza or whatever it was, and I was like, oh,
It
it
came
came
back. Yeah.
back. So I, she's going through her process. I'm really glad she apologized. I thought that
Yes.
was the right thing to do, and I don't think it's an easy thing for her to do, but I think it was important that she did that. She apologized. She admitted that she was scared. She admitted that she's still scared or uncomfortable because they were like, "Well, what is she going to do for you to you from prison?"
Hmm.
And for whatever reason, my gut is saying she still has not revealed everything because she's not able to yet. But I do think eventually it'll come out. And I'm not saying that there's video footage or whatever. I just feel like if you are dealt a blow like that to your head, but you get a
Yeah.
bruise like that, and you
Yeah.
remember everything else, she's just that moment that she says she forgets. My gut tells me that that's not quite 100% yet.
Well, I did like that she said, she's sorry to Andy, to the cast, to the network, to the audience. Like she's sorry for that. But
And as Annie rightfully pointed out, to the producers whom she implicated, I guess, at some point. And then there was that whole mishigas about the non-disclosure when she hit her head on a small shelf in the bathroom, like
uh-huh.
that was all so bizarre. And she was like,
Yeah.
it was a joke. But in this day and age, that's a real, it's an accusation. And everything, I'm sure somebody had to bill their time doing an investigation and,
Hmm.
all those things. And it's not nice to hear that when somebody will level an accusation like that against you. And it was all out of fear. So I think it was really important that she did do that apology.
It was interesting that she said here when we're talking about this, she says, I mean, I've been lying and covering up for her for 3 years, so the black eye wasn't going to be the thing. So you're thinking, what else were you lying and covering up for 3 years? Like, what do you mean? Because she's always said, every time she's my friend, maybe she did some things wrong, like, but she's still my friend. I don't try to look at what she's being accused of for the crimes. I'm always just saying she's my friend. But now she says, I covered up and lied for her for 3 years, so the black eye wasn't going to be the thing. What were you lying and covering up about for 3 years? I mean,
Well,
obviously she wasn't involved in her business, but
no, she definitely knew about it. And she even said last night, she wasn't my friend. She was never my friend.
yeah. Yeah. And it's
Yeah.
interesting. Monica said, I too, had been physically assaulted by her. We have that in common. And, I chose to burn it all down, to expose it. And you chose to hide.
The
We just
high
were,
road and the hide.
yeah, we have different ways of handling it, but we can all agree that, we were all sort of victimized by this woman. And Monica's like, I'm still scared of her. I still get, because I, testified, I still get threatening calls to my house and stuff. Like, but I mean, Jen was the head of the snake. They had, sent upwards like 15, 20 people to prison before her. So who is left, other than the Stu Chains, the assistant, you know?
Oh, right. But he made a deal, right?
I think he made a deal and he basically, yeah. But I mean, I think he was just as involved as she was, I think.
Right. But did he have to serve time?
I don't think he has ever been sentenced to anything because I always
Oh,
listen to the Bravo docket ladies and they keep me updated and they haven't said anything about it.
maybe that must have been part of his deal when he flopped or flipped or whatever. Flipped.
Yeah, he's probably like
He flipped.
probation for 20 years or something. So Andy asked them, is there anything Monica could say to make it okay? And they all go, no, nothing. Like, boom, nothing. And he goes, I mean, what if she would have come out here and said, is there a statement she could have made? And they're like, no. I mean, I think that they said, if you would have told us like the first day you were going to be on the cast, you could have said, I just want to tell you I was part of this thing. I'm not anymore. I'm sorry for my part in it. We took it down, blah, blah, blah. Sure, they would still be wary of her, but at least they'd be like, all right, like Tanisha had a crisis of conscience. She came clean about it. And her main goal was to take down Jen Shaw, but now she's friends. Maybe they could have at least but she just came just the complete opposite. Like, fuck everybody. Everybody's wrong and I'm right.
Right.
And then he asked her, he said, I told you I'd give you a chance, to get your point out. So if there's anything now that you feel you've been misunderstood or you want to make clear, here's your floor. Like, here we are. And she goes, well, well, there's a ton that's misunderstood. He goes, okay, well, you've got the
Here,
floor.
yeah.
Let's hear it. And she goes, I have nothing I want to say.
Mhm.
And they all just looked at her like, you know? And then we end the reunion with a rum drink. But I got to tell you,
Start with Sylvie.
When she said to Andy, when he goes, a casting director did not know this. And she goes, okay. I was like, well, that's it. In my mind, I'm like, you're done. You're done. You
And
know?
then on Watch What Happens Live.
Heather was on there. She looked great. And then that's when he goes, Variety is reporting that Monica won't be on. He didn't say fired. He said won't
Right.
be
Let me
on next
say
season.
we're taking, he did he say pause or we're taking a step away? He said something.
Yeah.
Because
And then,
actually, when he said that, I actually thought he meant of the next season. Like we're going to take a break from filming another season right now. But he was
oh,
talking specific. That was my first. I was like, what am I hearing? But he was only talking about Monica. But yeah,
yeah. Very
because you know what,
interesting.
Mary Payne. Listen, I'm sure I have told you, like, I hate watching people get rewarded for bad behavior.
Hmm.
She did bring all the drama. I mean, like, I have a friend who doesn't watch Salt Lake City at all. And I had dinner with him a few nights ago, and I said, just watch the last episode. Just watch the last episode. And he texted me. This is a very high powered, like, television executive.
Yeah.
His partner watches some Bravo, but he does not watch any Bravo. And he texted me about half an hour later. He was like, "You're an asshole. I'm starting the reunion." Like, he's so, so I'm sure I should actually call him and see if he watched last night. But so she did bring all of this drama and excitement and whatnot, only really at the very end for me. Like, that's where all the payback was, or the payout is.
I mean, they were
But
trying to make her mom happen for sure.
but where are they going to go with her? Like, what? Nobody's going to want to film with her. Nobody's
Mm-mm.
going to believe, none of us are going to believe anything she says. I could really, very easily watch a season of butter churning over watching her yelling like a child,
Yeah.
which is probably not what other people feel, but like, I just wouldn't buy it if she was there another season. And, that whole thing with her mother, that's the other thing. It's, again, back to that when we said performative earlier. It's like they were just vying to be on the show. Like, it
Right.
wasn't about being anybody's friend. It wasn't about having anything to really offer. She wants to be a star. She just wanted to be in that chair, and her mother wanted to be in that chair more than her. So it's now gross to me. Like, it's
Yeah.
just,
Well, guess what? I mean, she has bought herself, now she'll go on House of Villains. She'll probably get cast on, Big Celebrity Big Brother, all these things. And then she can have a career as a reality star that's the villain. Okay, great. I mean, it's not lost on me that she has four daughters, right? And that to me is a little upsetting because she's got four daughters and she's got this horrible mother and she's perpetuating the same type of behavior that her mother did to her, which is what
mhm.
happens. And that to me, that part is really sad. It's twice Lisa Barlow was yelling at her when the closed captions were on that I was trying to ping pong it back and forth. And Lisa Barlow twice said to her, you have four children, you have four daughters at home and you're a single mother. What are you doing?
Right.
And then she said, you have four daughters at home. You're a single mother with no income. It's like,
Yeah,
shit, Lisa.
it is sad, but on the other hand, she's not, like, it's very difficult to be empathetic for her. It's just
It,
hard because she's
but she
grown
will
up.
be on House of Villains. She will be on all these reality shows.
But,
And
but she's young, Mary Payne. She has a whole life ahead of her. She's not going
right,
to make enough money doing a season of Traitors and a season of House of Villains to to to
live.
bring her up for the rest of her life with four children. She needs a career. She needs to have an earning. She's very young.
Yeah. She's 30 something, right?
I mean, I'm in my mid 50s, and I'm like, that's all I think about. Like, how am I making? I got a mortgage to pay every month. It's like, you gotta really think about that, and it's
Yeah.
hard to think about that when you're in your 30s.
Yeah.
Like, you know,
Well, that's what I
you know,
say to my daughter all the time is 20. I was like, where are we going with this?
yeah,
You're 20.
exactly. Where
You're
are you
20.
going with it? Exactly.
What's
Oh
what
no.
that's no career path. Keep it pushing.
Yeah.
Um, Doug, I always love talking to you, and sometimes I feel like people don't believe me. I'm like, no, Doug Budin is my actual friend. And I'm like, we're actually friends.
Well, I hope so. Where are you going with this? I'm confused.
Because I think that because you're kind of a famous person.
But I'm Mary Payne. I'm not a famous person. I'm on a radio show. Like,
I know, but you're kind of listen. You were on 2 episodes of Friends.
that's right. I was on 2 episodes of Friends.
That's right. You know that
And
I
I'm
think.
going on the road with Shannon and Vicky.
Listen, tell me what cities you're not coming near me. I don't think, but tell me where you're going.
No, I'm so excited. We're going to Austin, Texas, which I've never been to.
Oh,
We're
that's
going to
cool.
Houston, which
Uh
I went
huh.
to once, and I had a really, really, really good Chinese dinner. I was
Okay.
there for a wedding. We're going to Indianapolis. I spent one night there once. I had to change hotel. Oh, I didn't spend the night. I went to Indianapolis. I booked a hotel. It turned out it was next to the maximum security prison. I was with my dog. I was uncomfortable. I pressed the OnStar button and I slept that night in Richmond, Indiana, which was a beautiful town. Anyway, we're going to Indianapolis. We're going to St. Louis. Never been. We're going to
Yeah.
Naples, Florida. I've never been.
Ooh,
To Boca, where any
Boca.
if you're a Budin and you don't live in New York City, or and you're not me, you're in Boca. So I'll get
You're
to
at
see
Boca.
I'll see all the Budin Bocas. We're going to Ontario. Turns out California, not Canada. And I think that's all I can think of right now. But it was the Tres Amigas. I did two
Yeah.
shows with them in Phoenix. We had a lot of fun. As it turns out, Tamara is not part of this round, so it's I think it's on the road with Shannon and Vicky.
Okay.
Um, they are.
Are they having guests like
I,
guests
I I
guest
don't know yet.
housewives or anything?
I actually don't know yet. We have a meeting coming up. Vicky's been in Mexico. I know she's coming back to town, so
Just
we
looking
are
it
going
up.
to have a meeting. I'm the MC. I'm not the show. They're the show, and I MC it. But I know we're going to have a meeting to talk about the flow, and but there's always a lot of fun with the audience. There's always Q&A.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's meet and greet. But I'll tell you now, having only spent, I know Shannon through Jeff Lewis Live and through Jeff. I
Yeah.
had never met Vicky before, and I spent 2 nights in Phoenix, and they are so much fun.
I love
I
Vicky.
just like sitting in the dressing room, hanging out with them. I had so many like, how is this my life that I'm here
Yeah.
with like these women that I watched on television from day one? I have watched, Real Housewives of Orange County since the
Yeah.
very first episode. So,
Same.
in fact, Kimberly, I don't know where you are. I miss you, Kimberly. Remember Kimberly
From
from
season
season
one.
one?
I mean,
Yes,
those season one ladies just came and went. Like they all
Kimberly.
kind of men together.
She had like a skin cancer scare. She ended up moving, I think, to Michigan.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, it is a lot of fun, and so I'm really excited to do the show with them. And
When
uh,
does it start? Like when's the Austin,
our
Texas one?
first date is I think March 13 or
Okay.
14. I'm gonna look.
All right. So
But
you've
you
got
did,
time to prepare.
yeah, March 13. Sorry, March 13. We have our first show in Houston. So I do want to plug. I'm terrible about plugging, but I'm happy to plug this. Go to hpatickets.com. H like Harry, P like Petunia, A like Apple, tickets.com. And that's where you can get all the information on all the
Okay.
shows.
I'll put that in the show notes. If people want to click it, they could
Oh,
go there.
okay. Thank you, Mary Payne.
And then, of course, you have your salt. So say again where you get your salt. You guys, I'm not really kidding. I'm joking with Doug about salt, but he does have this fabulous salt line. And
So we
you
feature,
just send him a DM. He'll tell you all about how to use it.
we do feature the Cook and Kibitz truffle salt, which is an all natural sea salt that's hand harvested out of Duxbury Bay in Massachusetts. It's a small
Wow.
U.S. business, woman owned business. And then they add black truffle and white truffle. So it's 100% natural. There's no artificial flavor or boosters or enhancers. This is just sea salt with black truffle and white truffle. And you can get that at saltery.store, SALTERY.store. And you could use code Doug Loves Salt for
Okay.
15% off your purchase, and it has free shipping.
Well, I gotta tell you, if you ever see Doug, he will pull some salt packets out of his pocket so fast.
and,
So
and
fast.
let you know that it's not meth, it's just salt.
Excuse my coughing. Okay, so we did the show, we did the salt. You do cooking kibitz every Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern, right?
Most Thursdays on Instagram Live, 8 p.m. Eastern.
Okay,
This
so don't have a
Thursday, I
log
don't know,
on.
when is this pod coming out?
Thursday morning.
Tomorrow.
Yeah.
So if you're listening the day this comes out, join Megan Weaver and me on Instagram
Oh,
Live. I'm going over to Megan's and we're making, so she sends me this recipe. She's like, I want us to do this. And it said lemon brownies. I know she didn't say I want us to do this. I think she said, I want you to make this. And I said,
you're
no, no,
right.
we will do it together on Cooking Gibbons. So Thursday or tonight, if you're listening, I'll be over at Megan Weaver's house and we're going to make these lemon bars or lemon brownies. I don't really
A
know.
lemon brownie does not sound like
I,
a combo you would
I
want.
agree with you, but the recipe that she sent me says lemon. You know, I'm going to open up the recipe, just see if
Does it have
brownie is a
chocolate?
quote or something.
Does it have chocolate in it? Like chocolate with
Lemon
lemon?
brownie. No, it's like, I don't know why it's not a lemon bar. It's flour, sugar, butter, sea salt, eggs, lemon juice, lemon zest. I call that a lemon bar.
I call that a lemon bar. And by the way, I don't think you're selling this anymore, but you did sell those wonderful cooking kibitz boxes, and you had that zester in there. You know, I had another zester and I threw it out. I only use yours now.
No, this one is so fantastic. But I'll tell you, that's in the. I put that in my Amazon store thing.
Okay.
I recommend that. That's a microplane.
Yeah.
It's a really really good one.
Yeah, it's really good. And when will you next be on? I mean, we're just plugging everything. When will you next be on Jeff Lewis Live?
I will be on Jeff Lewis Live this coming Friday with Denise Richards.
Stop. That is
So excited.
wild.
So Jeff Lewis Live is on Radio Andy, Sirius XM channel 102, and we go live 9 a.m. Pacific, 12 p.m. Eastern on Radio Andy.
And you're a very frequent host of the after show as well.
Yeah, I had a really, really fun show this past week with Carney Wilson,
Hmm.
who I really adore. I have a lot of fun with Carney. So yeah, I live close by, and
Yeah.
I pretty much say yes whenever they ask me because I have so much fun, and it has been one of the greatest gifts is getting to do that show and meeting all the people and hanging out with Jeff too. It's a lot of fun.
I mean, so all those things I just listed, plus you actually have a real full-time job, plus you do acting.
Well, I audition. I'm not acting. I just audition. I'm like a professional auditioner. It's
I
really
know, but I listen. s- Everybody
it's,
talks about your acting skills. I saw you on that episode of Friends. I think I sent you a text. It came up on my screen. My husband puts Friends on every night, like before bed, just sort of like as background, because we all just love Friends.
yeah, yeah.
And and that's the episode you were on as the librarian. And
Uh-huh.
Ross comes in to look for his book. I was like, "That is my friend Doug. That is my friend Doug." And I like stopped it, paused it, like got up to the TV, took a picture. Couldn't
Yeah.
believe it. I was like, I finally saw it. I finally saw it.
That really was also an extremely special job because that was at the height of Friends' popularity and like the security to get into the building, and West Wing taped at the studio right next door, and a lot of the
Oh,
West Wing cast came to tape night, and I got to meet Brad Pitt because Jen Aniston was dating Brad Pitt, and he
yes.
knew who I was because Jennifer had told him that I made her laugh a lot. So like he came over to like there were just so many incredible experiences and memories that I still have just from that 1 week of work. There are so many shows you work on and you just I don't even remember some of them, but something like that I don't think I could ever forget it.
Well, I want to tell you something else as a total sidebar that's hilarious. I just remembered when you were saying that. My son is obsessed. He's 18. He's obsessed with Modern Family. So he just watches it. He gets to the end and then he just starts it
What's
back
it
over.
over?
Yeah, he just loves Modern Family. And I said, my friend Doug was on that show. And so I told him, I go, he was Lily's principal. And I showed him your picture. He goes, well, I've seen it. I've seen everything twice. I don't recognize him. And I was like, I'm going to prove it to you. And so I went and found a picture on the internet of you as Lily's principal. He was
Yeah,
like, oh, okay. Now, all right. All right. I was like, yes, he was. He
yeah.
was on there.
That was, I mean, that was a very long, that was a long time coming. After I didn't get the role of Cameron, they brought me in, I don't know, 20 times for different roles over the course of the years. And it was when I finally said, I can't, please don't bring me in anymore. It hurt me to go back in an audition. And when I finally said no to an audition, they called and offered me a role. And
Oh,
that was like, and as an actor to get the offer is really nice. And it's very difficult for me to say no. And passing on an audition is a really, really hard thing to do. But it became, I was very, very close throughout all this to move back to New York. I mean, we're
mm,
already talking so long now. I apologize. But
that's okay.
I was ready to pack it in and move back to New York. Not getting that role because I tested at studio, I tested at the network. I thought this was the thing that was going to change my life. And then when I didn't get it, I went into such a horrible depression. I gave up
Mm.
acting. I just had some really, really dark days. And I said, I'm going to sell my house and I'm going to move back to New York. And the craziest thing happened, which was I was at a cocktail party, which was sort of like going to be a going away party. And that's the night Jeff Lewis asked me to go on his show.
Oh, yeah, you met him there. He was with Gage at that cocktail party. You've
Yeah.
told me that story.
Yeah.
Oh, Doug, I've known a lot of stories about you, but I did not know that one.
Yeah. I don't talk about it a lot because it even though the result is this joyful thing, it's a really hard, it represents one of the hardest times in my life. It really was, like we all go through depression, and
Yeah.
as an actor, listen, I'm told no more than more than yes. And normally you go to an audition, you read for the role and then you forget about it. You're on to the next thing. And we're taught
Yeah.
how to do that. I'm trained to not let it affect me. And for whatever reason, which I don't know, that role was, I just somehow internalized it and I could not let it go. And so every time they would bring me back to read for a different role, it just became more and more painful. I was just like, I want to forget about that whole experience. And
Yeah.
so on the other hand, when they did offer that to me and I was able to do a few episodes of it, I got a really nice closure. Like now I have a
Yeah.
very happy ending associated with it as opposed to an open wound. But
Wow.
boy, am I glad I didn't move back to New York the week before because look at all the amazing things that have happened out of it.
Yeah. Yeah. Because you're on the show, and then now you're on the
Yeah,
after show, and you've got the salt, you got the cooking kibbles, and
yeah,
now you're doing the dos amicas.
yeah.
The
It is a poo poo poo. It's a blessing.
It
But
is.
yeah,
Well, everybody, you could follow Doug on Instagram at Doug Budin,
now
and
they don't want to. Now they're like, I don't want to follow that depressing guy.
he's not depressing at all. He's a total delight, and we just told you all the other places you could find Doug. And of course, I'll ask you. Please follow me on Instagram at Pink Shade Pod. Just always out here begging for followers.
I follow
And
you.
do you follow the podcast, or do you just follow me personally?
Oh no, I'm
In
sure.
fact,
I'm sure.
I think maybe you do, but
Wait,
I'm
pink shade?
yeah, Pink Shade
I'm,
Pod.
I'm sure I do.
Let's have a look. Let's check.
Yeah, pink shade pod.
Okay, thank you, Doug. I
Following.
appreciate thank you. Because some people like John Hill I'm friends with, and the other day I tagged him in something Pink Shade Pod. He was like, I just realized I follow you like your personal account, but I didn't follow your podcast. I was like, John Hill, what are you doing?
Yeah, that's also my, well, John and I are not the same age, but at my age, like I don't even remember who I follow, who I don't.
Me
It
either.
takes me an hour and a half just to figure out how to post something. Like
Same.
you got to give a little grace to
It,
the oldies.
anybody over 45, give us a break. People are like, you should put that on TikTok. I go, it would take me so long. Like
Oh,
I just came
I'm
up with
on
that great idea for you,
I'm on TikTok
about the
now.
churning of the butter, and that'll
Yes,
probably take you half a day.
I'm not doing it, but I actually have an actual TikTok now, but I'm not doing anything with it. But Joey Zauzig was on Cooking Kibbutz. He was like, "You're not on TikTok," and I said, "No." And I can't even get my own name because somebody else took Doug Budin, and they're using my picture, and they post all
What?
these videos, and they're like, I guess monetizing it, and I had to make an account just to complain about that account, but they said
Yes.
it's not violating anything, but I had to. So now I'm on TikTok, but I'm not creating any content.
Well, you should
But
make it
if
like
you're on TikTok, No, it's Doug Budin is not me. It's somebody else. I don't know who.
You should just make yours like Doug Budin official or something. Well, Joey Zausig is big into TikTok, so he should get a TikTok executive on top of
He's
this.
gonna help me. My TikTok is. I think I'm actually Doug Budin is the name of
That's cute.
my thing.
That's
Yeah.
cute. Actually, Doug Budin is cute. Okay. Well, I'll just go follow. Listen, once you get on the TikTok, you get into a TikTok. Speaking of a K hole, you get into a TikTok hole. You can't get out. You just look at it for hours.
I'm not doing it. I'm not getting into another hole. I won't do it.
Oh my God, it's wow. Um, Everybody follow Doug, follow me, and Doug, don't hang up, but I will talk to you later. Goodbye.
All right. Thank you, everybody.
Ads not read by me, Mary Payne, don't necessarily reflect the views of Pink Shade. If you'd like to listen to ad-free, you're going to go on over to Supercast or Patreon, and you can find the links to Pink Shade Prime at pinkshadepodcast.com.